In my previous life, I won 50 million in the lottery. After tax, I received 40 million. I thought I had reached the peak of my life, but then the apocalypse came. My boyfriend sold for the price of a single Oreo. That's how I ended up as a meal for zombies. When I opened my eyes again, I was squatting by the greenery in front of a bank, still clutching that 50 million yuan lottery ticket. The pain of being torn apart by zombies still lingered in my nerves. Terrified, I froze on the spot. I had been reborn. After realizing it, I didn't rush to the bank to cash it. Instead, I went to a nearby fast food place and ordered a simple fried rice. In the apocalypse, I hadn't eaten rice for 3 months, and I only survived 3 months. The taste of rice and egg in my mouth felt unreal to me. I used to hate fried rice, but now it brought tears to my eyes. After eating, I bought hats and masks from a convenience store, disguised myself completely, and went to cash the ticket. After tax, tens of millions hit my account. Just like last time, this time, I didn't rush to call my boyfriend. I simply texted, "Let's break up. I wish you and Rulu 8 sons, each with a different father." The reason I was so calm was because I knew from my previous life that he had been cheating with his secretary all along. If he hadn't found out I won 50 million, he probably would have dumped me long ago. After sending the text, I checked the date. Only 20 days left until the apocalypse. This time, I need a solid plan. I must not repeat my mistakes. I spent 20 million to buy a villa in the suburbs. A 3-story house. Quiet surroundings. It's a villa area. Few people, fewer zombies. Higher chance of survival. And the villa was solidly built. Deep foundation. Stable ground. But I still wasn't at ease. I hired a top renovation company. Replaced all windows with bank-grade bulletproof glass. Added one-way heat-insulating film. No one could see inside from outside. After all, humans can be scarier than zombies. Not only that, I had all the outer walls, soundproofed by professionals. All made with top materials. When zombies bite outside, the walls would reduce the noise risk. Originally, the renovation would take 20 days, but I couldn't wait. I went straight to the manager and told him it must be done in 10 days. Money is not a problem, just be fast. He looked puzzled, so I lied and said it was a surprise for my family. They're coming in 10 days. Well, it wasn't exactly a lie. In my last life, my family really planned to visit. I even prepared a surprise for them, but the virus broke out on their way here. I never found out what happened after. Just thinking about it left me hollow inside. So this time, I called them early. Told them I missed them so much. Asked them to come live with me for a while. I booked the nearest flight and told them to come right away. I couldn't wait to see them again. Now my family hadn't arrived yet, and the house wasn't ready. But I couldn't stay idle. During the day, I oversaw construction and filled gaps. I also hired extra workers to install solar panels on the villa. After the apocalypse, the power grid would fail in days. Nationwide blackout. I had the top floor sealed tight and the balcony enclosed. Installed anti-theft bars and bulletproof glass. All locks upgraded to bank-level security. The main gate was replaced with a vault-grade door, plus 2 extra gates. It would take 3 gates to get inside. After that, I bought several door stoppers for extra safety. Once I confirmed, the workers were doing fine, I went to a car dealership, bought a big off-road vehicle and a camper van. In case the villa couldn't hold, I could still escape by car. Then I drove to a nearby farmer's market and started hoarding supplies. 5 bags of rice, 5 bags of flour, 5 barrels of cooking oil, a box of salt, 20 for packs, a box of vinegar, a box of soy sauce, a box of sesame oil, 20 cases of bottled water, 10 boxes of instant noodles, a box of bread, 5 bags of sunflower seeds, 50 packs of every kind of snack I could see, chocolate, candies, instant self-heating meal kits, 30 each. Until my car was completely full, and the trunk almost couldn't close. On my way home, I stopped by a pharmacy, bought some medicine. But due to strict pandemic control, I couldn't buy much at once. So I planned to visit multiple stores at night after all workers left. I secretly moved everything into the villa bedroom. Supplies meant survival. If word got out, I'd become everyone's target. Finally, on the 10th day, the renovation was done. My parents and sister arrived. I came clean with them. Told them the apocalypse was coming, but none of them believed me. Mom touched my forehead worriedly. Xiang, don't joke like that. Are you overworked and confused? She kept touching my forehead anxiously. Mom, I'm not joking. If you don't believe me, old Mr. Joe at the east end of the village will die tonight. Mom panicked instantly. What nonsense are you saying? Quick, knock on wood. Old Mr. Joe is in robust health. I even saw him working in the fields 2 days ago. He was full of energy, don't curse him. I didn't argue with them. They'd know tonight. that I was telling the truth. In my previous life, my parents said they'd finish farm work before visiting me. Right before they were about to come, Mom called and said, old Mr. Joe at the east end of the village had passed away. So they'd be a few days late. Mom said on the phone that old Mr. Joe had been working in the field, fell on his way home down a slope, and passed away that night in the hospital. Life is unpredictable. The next second always catches you off guard. At dinner, Mom cooked a big table of dishes. They smelled great and brought back memories. Eat more, look how skinny you've gotten. Working so hard in the big city wore you out, huh? Mom lovingly picked food into my bowl. Dad looked at me with heartache. Not bad. Dad, before I finished, a sudden urgent ringtone cut me off. Dad stood up and patted his pockets. I'll take a call. You all eat first. He stepped onto the balcony. When he came back, his face was solemn. Old man. What's wrong? Who called? Auntie Jo from the west end of the village. She said old Mr. Joe passed away tonight. Mom was stunned. The meat fell off her chopsticks and she didn't notice. Dad silently took out a cigarette and lit it with old Mr. Joe's death. My parents believed what I'd said, but time was short, and our supplies were far from enough. At first light, I went to a dealership and bought a heavy semi-truck, planning to stock up in the next city. Buying too much at nearby supermarkets would raise suspicion. With renovation workers around before, I didn't dare splurge. Now I could finally go all out. And Dad has an A2 license, used to drive a semi-long haul. This heavy rig was easy for him. We drove straight to a big box supermarket in Kuban City next door. This time I didn't even go into the aisles. I contacted the store manager directly, saying we were donating supplies to a nursing home. Because time was tight, the factory couldn't deliver in time, so we had to source from the supermarket. Hearing that, the manager grinned from ear to ear. Without suspicion, after checking the list, he immediately had people load the truck. This time I didn't hold back. As much cooking oil as they had. All kinds of snacks. If it was in the stockroom, I wanted it. Anything ready to heat, I took it all. Bottled water, carbonated drinks, everything in the warehouse went on the truck, since fresh meat doesn't store well. I called Mom, who was sorting supplies, back at the villa, and told her to buy 5 large freezers just for meat, and to pick up pots, bowls, and other kitchenware, while staff were loading the goods. Dad noticed some potting soil in a corner of the warehouse and insisted on buying it. He also bought seeds for vegetables and melons, plus several water purifiers. We emptied most of the supermarket's inventory before the trailer was barely full. Let's buy clothes, quilts and such to fill the gaps, I suggested. After all, post-apocalypse weather is not only abnormal, but extremely harsh. Hot and cold swings. Many won't make it because of extreme weather alone. In the end, we bought 56 quilts, 80 sets of down jackets per person, 80 sets of cotton padded jackets, plus 15 electric fans, 15 space heaters, 15 electric blankets, and 66 cases of heat packs, and 88 cases of cooling gel patches. It was 1 a.m. when we drove back into the city. Everything was quiet, not a soul in sight. The trailer was too big to enter the villa district, so we carefully moved the goods inside trip by trip at night. Finally, before dawn, we got most of it in. The rest could wait until we left for another city, and Mom and my sister could move it slowly at night. After a night's rest, the next afternoon, Dad drove the other vehicle. I'd bought a smaller one and took me out. We went to another city called Jinxie. With prior experience, this round of shopping went smoothly, but this time, Dad and I agreed to buy more daily necessities, entertainment items, and self-defense weapons. By the time we returned to the villa, a full day and night had passed. Mom and my sister had already moved all the remaining supplies into the villa. At that point, the second and third floors were packed to the brim, not a corner left. Again at night, with no one around, our family got busy once more. Since the truck was smaller than last time, we finally sorted everything before dawn. After daybreak, Dad and I went to a wholesale market if I recall right, but didn't buy much this time. Besides avoiding suspicion, we were mostly out of space at home, so we bought about the same as the other shop owners. On the way back, my phone rang. It was Mao Buffon. I'd forgotten to block him. I didn't answer. He's the type to borrow money without repaying the last time. He was probably trying to scam me again. I hung up as I spoke and added him to the block list. Better to deal less with people like that. You only get burned. I gave a wry smile to myself. Yeah, he's too shrewd. I was too naive before. He had already cheated, yet I foolishly thought I was his only one. How utterly ridiculous. The countdown to death, 3 days until the apocalypse. Our supplies are about ready. Enough for the 4 of us to eat and drink for 3 to 4 years without issue. Dad has also planted lots of vegetables and fruits on the balcony. If they grow well, we should be able to make it to the end. But what worries me most is safety. Better safe than sorry, Dad. I've been observing these past few days. The villas next to us are currently unoccupied, and some are for rent. How about we rent them all? That could work, but we probably don't have that much money now, right? I reassured him. We still have money. Actually, I regretted paying in full for the villa soon after buying it. Why did I have to pay in full for a villa? With the apocalypse coming, who would chase me to repay a loan? So I mortgaged the villa I just paid for in full and took a 12 million loan from the bank. With the money, I rented 3 nearby villas. Average rent per villa is 100,000 a month. 3 units total 300,000 a month. Why only 3? Because one villa wasn't for rent. It was up for sale and hadn't been sold yet. For safety, I gritted my teeth, paid the down payment, and bought it. After handling all that, I still wasn't at ease. So I bought 50 pinhole cameras and installed them in hidden corners across the 4 villas. After all, the internet at the villas wouldn't cut off all at once. The day before the apocalypse, to be safe, our whole family decided not to go out again. But even in the villa, we didn't idle around. While the water and power systems were still up, we charged every rechargeable device to full and filled every water container to the brim. We also watered the fruits and vegetables Dad had just planted. For the remaining time, everyone downloaded their favorite videos, novels, comics, or offline games to kill time during the boring yet perilous post-apocalyptic days. At 8 a.m., my sister shook me awake hard. Wake up quick, look outside. The sky looks so strange. I'd been on watch all night, so tired my eyes could barely open. I lifted my eyes toward the window. The sky was gray and hazy, with low, heavy clouds. It felt like rain. I got up quickly and checked all the doors and windows in the villa, only relaxing once everything was locked tight. I opened a weather app on my phone. It showed sunny today, temperature 34 degrees. I looked at my phone, then at the weather outside. Shukshu, tell me what you just saw. Sis, you might not believe it. It was sunny just now. And the next second it suddenly turned blood red, and you couldn't see anything. Then it became like this. Shukshu's voice trembled a little, clearly badly frightened. After comforting my sister, I took her to find our parents and told them in detail about the strange, frightening scene outside. Everyone fell silent. I took out the binoculars, deciding to check outside. Since it was a villa district, there were almost no people outside, but it had already started to rain. Suddenly, a roar shattered the silence. Run, someone's turned into a monster. Please open the door. Help me, honey. Don't leave me. Help. The crowd outside the villas erupted into chaos. Through the binoculars, I saw someone running this way. Judging by his build, a sturdy man, carrying a child in his arms. 2 zombies were trailing them. Blood at the corners of their mouths looked like they'd just fed. When the apocalypse had just started, zombies weren't fast, but their endurance was incredible. The man was clearly about to give out, his steps growing heavier, and he slowed down. Seeing the zombies closing in, he suddenly stopped, set the child down with trembling hands, then ran off without looking back. The child watched the zombies approach and cried even louder in fear, still calling Dad again and again, but soon the voice faded and disappeared. Watching this, I felt awful, but could do nothing, because the true apocalypse would be far more terrifying than this. I put down the binoculars and told my family, no matter who knocks or what they say outside, don't respond and don't open the door. In the apocalypse, the worst thing is a foolish savior complex. It harms others and ourselves. Fortunately, my family understood and nodded in agreement. At 12:20, the rain outside seemed to stop, but there were clearly more zombies wandering around. I opened my phone. The screen was full of news about the apocalypse, horrific images, and desperate pleas for help refreshing nonstop. The comments were a wail of misery too tragic to look at. By night, the whole city had completely fallen. Zombies were everywhere on the streets. Luckily, the water and power systems hadn't collapsed yet, and we could still live normally. The news on my phone was all official government responses, telling everyone not to go out, to stay home and wait for rescue. Although I trusted the country, I also knew that the vast majority might never live to see the day rescue arrive. It was summer now. Temperatures were high, and it was hard to stir anything. Moreover, most people weren't in the habit of stockpiling. I guessed most people's current supplies wouldn't last more than 5 days. After 5 days, many would go out to scavenge for supplies. Thinking of this, I let out a long breath. Fortunately, we'd stockpiled so much before the apocalypse. We didn't need to go out and risk our lives against zombies for a bite to eat. Our first meal of the apocalypse was Mom's shredded chicken hand-pulled noodles. And so, we were forced to start a lazy routine in the apocalypse. In the first 4 days, whenever my shift ended and I had free time, I used binoculars to observe the zombies' patterns, hoping to find weaknesses. I ended up disappointed. I found that zombies didn't need to rest at all. Day or night, they roamed the streets tirelessly. On rooftops, on balconies, even on other people's cars. On the 5th day of the outbreak, I planned to switch observation spots and went to the monitoring room. As soon as I entered, several figures flashed across the screens. It made my hair stand on end. Every hair on my body bristled with tension. I held my breath, my heart pounding like thunder. There were about 3 people on the screen. 2 men and 1 woman. All of them were rather slender. They didn't seem to be carrying dangerous weapons, so they weren't an immediate threat. But I still didn't dare relax my guard. In the apocalypse, people's hearts are unfathomable. 2 of the figures on screen, however, felt especially familiar. As I was thinking, those 2 seemed to sense something, and suddenly turned to look at the pinhole camera. With that one look, my pupils quaked. I nearly exploded with rage. Weren't those Mao Buffon and Rulyu, that shameless pair? Thinking of my previous life, how they fooled me like an idiot. I gnashed my teeth in hatred, trembling all over. But after 2 days of watching, I realized the 2 of them had pathetically few supplies. It was practically a joke. Now, aside from my shifts each day, I loved running to the monitoring room. On the 7th day after the apocalypse began, I discovered the water was out while washing up in the morning. The temperature outside was absurdly high. The asphalt outside the window could probably fry an egg instantly. Humanity had taken another step toward extinction. In the monitoring room, the electric fans were blasting away, but the heat was still unbearable. The scorching temperature made me a bit woozy. I hurriedly gulped down a big mouthful of water to stay clear-headed. At this rate, I felt I was about to start hallucinating. Another 5 days passed, and there was still no sign of the outdoor temperature dropping. We'd already used up a third of our cooling gel patches. The heat had me irritable to the extreme. In the monitoring room, I had a cooling patch on my forehead and cheeks. But soon it felt like they weren't there at all. No coolness whatsoever. I yanked the patches off in frustration, wiped the sweat from my face with a tissue, and looked weakly at the screens. There were Mao Buffon, Rulyu, and the third person, like 3 salted fish thrown ashore, motionless. Their mouths were opening and closing as they struggled to breathe, because it was so unbearably hot. When we ate, we set up 7 fans in the dining room, all blowing at once. Amazingly, that actually made me feel less hot. While on duty last night, I noticed there were a lot more zombies outside. Seems high temperatures don't affect zombies at all. Oh right, how are those 3 dogs in the villa doing? Dad suddenly turned to ask me, his tanned face full of worry. I looked up at Dad, and realized his eye sockets had sunken, with dark circles under them. He'd clearly been busy these days. Without a moment's rest, exhausted guilt surged in my heart. I regretted telling him about the 3 who broke in, making him worry too. They're still in the villa for now, and haven't made any big moves. Don't worry, Dad. Our doors and windows are reinforced. They can't threaten us. Xiang is right. Old man, eat and then go sleep for a while. Stop worrying all day. In times like these, good health matters most. As Mom spoke, she kept putting food into Dad's bowl, but I noticed the redness at the corners of her eyes. I knew she felt sorry for Dad. I agree with Mom. Please go rest. Don't worry about the melon and vegetable seedlings. I'll tend them after dinner. Under the 3 of us urging him, Dad finally gave in, ate and went to rest. After the meal, back in my room, I clutched my thundering heart, trembling all over. Just now, I suddenly remembered a place everyone had always overlooked. Mao Buffon. How did they get into the villa? As far as I know, before the apocalypse, this villa district's security was among the best in the city. Although I didn't change the locks on the villas I rented later, they still shouldn't have gotten in so easily. I closed my eyes, racking my brains. With the main gate locked, and zombies roaming outside, how did they manage it? Do they have some secret weapon? At that thought, my heart clenched. Terrifying possibilities flashed through my mind, making cold sweat pour down. My back was drenched and sticky, utterly uncomfortable. When I opened my eyes, that wasn't the worst part. What was even more suffocating was the moment I looked up at the monitors. The 3 stranded fish on the screen were gone. I hurriedly pulled up all the cameras for that villa, but in the footage, I couldn't catch a trace of them. They had vanished into thin air. Just gone, like they evaporated. Maybe they went back to a room? I guessed to myself, my palms sweating uncontrollably. They must have gone back to a room. I tried to reassure myself. When I installed the cameras, for convenience, I only put them in the living room and corridors, so the other rooms were blind spots. They must have opened some other room's door. I kept telling myself that. To confirm it, I watched the monitors for another 30 minutes, but found nothing. They still didn't appear. In my anxiety, I remembered I could view the playback. I set the playback start time to 12:10. When I had left, the 3 were still lying on the floor, like beached fish. At 12:15, their expressions changed a bit. The stranger lying next to Mao Bufan, took a phone call. At 12:17, he ended the call, visibly agitated. Then he said something to Mao Bufan and Enrulyu. After that, all three looked excited. At 12:20, they left the villa one after another. After watching, I was curious who had called that man and what they'd talked about. I regretted not installing a microphone in the villa. On day 20 of the apocalypse, the power grid fully collapsed. The monitoring screens went black, and my phone lost signal. But there were more and more zombies outside, moving faster than before, and more agile. Besides the increase in zombies, I actually saw several groups of survivors passing by, seemingly out searching for supplies. Most drove private cars or trucks. A few were on foot, but the results were largely the same. They either became zombies or turned into zombie food. On day 45, hail suddenly started falling outside, and the temperature plunged. Egg-sized hailstones hammered the glass heavily, making loud thuds. The balcony windows were struck several times in a row, but even at the worst spots, there were only a few shallow scratches. No other damage. 3 hours later, the hail stopped. My family and I checked every door and window for damage. In my last life, many people were killed in this hailstorm by shattered glass. Plenty didn't just die from zombie bites. Some were beaten to death by others, fighting over supplies. So, I told my family to check extra carefully. One small mistake could be fatal. After checking, we all breathed a sigh of relief. Turns out zombies aren't the scariest thing. It's people's hearts. With hail helping out, the scumbag went missing. I looked outside. Most car windows were shattered by the hail, and even several zombies were killed by it. Soon after the hail, the temperature dropped sharply. Wearing summer clothes, we shivered nonstop. Life felt harder than a pilgrimage to the Western paradise. Fortunately, we'd stockpiled lots of winter coats and quilts. They finally came in handy. At night when we slept, we turned on the space heater, or stuck on heat packs, so the nights didn't feel unbearably cold. After the hail, I looked out with the binoculars, and was surprised to find there seemed to be far fewer zombies than before. Maybe many were killed by the hail. I guessed to myself, on day 50, there really were far fewer zombies. But we ran into a problem. Even trickier than zombies, we seemed to be watched. At first I didn't notice, until one day my sister told me in terror. Around noon, she suddenly felt like drawing a realistic piece. While browsing photo references, she discovered a strange silhouette behind the curtains of the villa behind us, staring our way. As she spoke, she hurriedly pulled up the photo she'd just mentioned. Because the shot was taken from far away, the rear villa was a bit blurry. But zooming in, from the rough outline, you could vaguely tell it was a man. Unlike the two from the surveillance before, this man was tall, well-built, looked like he could take the four of us alone. So our whole family convened an emergency meeting. After discussion, we decided the four of us would take turns on watch, keeping observation going 25 hours a day. A few days later, all of our faces were grim. What we saw left us breathless. Things didn't look good. We seemed to be surrounded. The four villas around us all seemed to be occupied. Those people were covertly watching us non-stop. How could this be? In sudden panic, I remembered my earlier doubts about Mao Bufan. How did they get into the villa? Could this encirclement be connected to that? I told my family my suspicions, because I still couldn't figure out how Mao Bufan and the others entered the villa, just like now, how they occupied the villas around us. Could it be they opened the doors with keys? Keys, but how would they have keys? Was it the property management? Did management stash spare keys, and they got them from there? I thought it over carefully. It seemed very possible, since the rentals I arranged were handled by management too. So our whole family, under extreme tension, made it through 2 days safely. During those 2 days, that group didn't seem ready to act against us. Just when we thought they wouldn't make a move today either. That night, the outermost gate of the villa made a sound. Creak, creak. The sound of a door being shaken. Then came several hoarse curses. Especially creepy in the dead of night. Because I was farther away, I couldn't make out what they were saying. So I mustered my courage and pressed my ear against the wall closest to the outer door, and finally caught parts of their conversation. Damn, it won't open. They must have changed the lock core. None of my master keys work. Quit dawdling, see if you can pry it open. Keep it down. Don't draw the zombies. Brother Mao, it's not working. How about we check the next house for supplies first? You don't know crap. The big boss said this house has a big hall. If we pry it open, we won't have to starve. But it won't pry open. Forget it. Next time. Let's go see if the front villas have supplies. I kept my ear to the wall. Heart pounding. And only when I was sure they'd left did I breathe a sigh of relief. I wiped the cold sweat from my forehead. Turning around, I saw my father and sister, gripping spiked clubs, ready to die if needed, and my mother trembling, holding a kitchen knife. I gestured for them to put the weapons down, then pointed at the stairs, meaning, let's go upstairs and talk. What now? Floors 1-3. My sister ran over and clung tightly to my hem, tears already streaming down her delicate face. I ached for her, but didn't know how to respond. I wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes, and whispered, don't be scared, Shukshu. It shouldn't be easy for them to open the door. They didn't succeed today, right? We'll be fine. Dad patted our shoulders, offered a few words of comfort, then supported Mom and slowly went back to the room. Watching my parents leave and my sobbing sister, a wave of helplessness surged in me. If they really broke in, we'd be like fish on a chopping board, at their mercy. After all, we didn't know how many strong men were out there. Even one breaking in would be too much for us. Since that night, every night, we could hear the sound of them trying the lock on time, but they didn't dare make too much noise or stay too long. This went on for more than 10 days. I figured the outermost gate had already been battered badly by them, although it could still hold for now. It probably wouldn't for many more days. During these 10+ days, the climate changed again. The temperature rose. The warmer weather finally chased off the lingering chill, but not the despair in our hearts. 3 more days passed. This time, the sounds outside were no longer curses, but unprecedented excitement. After all these days, we finally pried the lock. Keep it down. If it's open, hurry and open the door. Stop yapping, except it still won't open. Didn't you say it was pried open? Why the hell won't it open now? Brother Mao, I didn't expect there to be a door stopper on this side too. I'm gonna explode. If there's no big hall inside after all this, when we're back, I'll have Brother Long deal with that woman surnamed Yan. After they left, still cursing, I felt drained and wiped the sweat from my cheeks. This time, I finally caught 2 useful bits of info. First, a woman surnamed Yan told them there were lots of supplies in this villa. Second, their boss was called Brother Long. The name Brother Long sounded familiar. I remembered. Among the people who bought me, in my previous life, there was indeed a Brother Long. Before the apocalypse, he was a street thug, with some family money, who did every evil, and ended up doing a few years sewing in prison. If the Brother Long they mentioned was the one I knew, then that woman surnamed Yan must be Yan Rulyu. On day 90, the temperature slowly began to rise again, and the number of zombies gradually increased. I couldn't help but wonder, could it be that after people turn into zombies, unlock a winter hibernation trait? Otherwise, why, when it's cold, are there almost no zombies in sight? But once the temperature rose these days, zombies popped up like bamboo shoots after rain, one after another. Still, more zombies isn't necessarily bad for us, at least since it warmed up. Those people have come less often, and stayed for less time, though they've cursed even more. Asterisk crack crack asterisk. Hearing the door frame shaking violently, I knew they were back, and better prepared. This time the outer door might not hold. Sure enough, as soon as I pressed my ear to the wall downstairs, I heard their cheers. Brother Mao, it's open, open. Nice work. Quit stalling. Get in there, boss. There's another door inside. Damn it, I'm furious, let's go back. When we're back, have that smoking woman and her man killed, and turned into supplies. They seemed to leave, but the outer door was totaled, maybe in 10 more days. They'd force the remaining 2 doors too. Is my fate in the apocalypse really only 3 months again? Day 95, they hadn't come back, though at night I sometimes heard noises. By the time I jolted awake to listen, the sounds were gone. Day 97 at dawn. Voices drifted up from below our villa. I shot up, went to check the 4 cars parked under us. The shadows inside made my heart pound. They seemed to be plotting something. Suddenly a dark figure in a car looked my way. I instantly dropped the binoculars and ducked. Let's go, Brother Mao. Stop looking, maybe there's nothing in this villa. That smoker lied to save her skin. I still can't swallow this. Brother Mao just got word from Brother Long. They found a big hall in Long's community up ahead. Youngju, I heard them seem to toss something out of the car. Then engine starting. After that, the sound faded. Only when I was sure it was quiet, that the devils finally left. Did I let out a long breath? I raised the binoculars again to look outside. To the northwest, I saw there for off-road vehicles, their fading lights like lures beside a grave. A bleakness welled up in me. In this villa district now, we were probably the only living family left. Day 97 morning. 5 hours after they'd gone, I saw zombies around our home suddenly multiply. I was puzzled, until through the binoculars I spotted 2 human-like skulls, and some torn, leftover clothing. Then it clicked. The sounds I heard last night were likely them dumping bodies to lure zombies and use the distraction to flee. Wait, I stared at a piece of floral fabric and some white striped cloth, if I wasn't mistaken. They matched what Mao Bufan and Yunruyu wore days ago. So those 2 skulls were theirs. I didn't even know how to feel about it. Vengeance served or chills down my spine. I wasn't sure. Day 130. Aside from zombies, I hadn't seen a single living person pass our villa. Day 160. We had fully adapted to apocalypse living. Day 180. Strange day. Despite the scorching heat outside, zombies were fewer and fewer. As I wondered why, I heard a heavy vehicle rolling over the road and several gunshots. A group arrived outside, and they had guns. My family and I went on high alert, hid as best we could, and carefully peered out. Outside were people in green uniforms, helmets on their heads, wrapped up tight, capturing zombies en masse. They were all highly capable. Soon, every zombie outside the villas was subdued and confined to a large iron cage. Team Xiao Chen just got scratched. Have Dr. Shen give him an antitoxin shot, then isolate for 14 days. If there's no issue, he rejoins the unit. Report Captain Liu. We don't have spare isolation cages at camp. We didn't dare make a sound until we were sure they were a state rescue squad. Then we offered help. The comrade named Xiao Chen was set up in the villa next to ours. After thanking us, Captain Liu had Dr. Shen inject our family with the antitoxin. It's the newest vaccine against the zombie virus. In my previous life, I only survived 3 months, never long enough for a vaccine or for state rescue. I'd never even heard of an antitoxin. 30 minutes later, after confirming we had no adverse reactions, Dr. Shen prepared to leave. He said hundreds of millions of compatriots awaited rescue. Hearing that, my eyes stung a little. The country hadn't abandoned us after all. 3 months later, there had been 3 straight months with 0 new zombies. And over those 3 months, their numbers in the old zones rapidly fell from 100 to 0. I had to admire the reconstruction speed. The city once in ruins soon flourished again as before. Only one thing, do I still have to repay that 12 million loan?